going to do a video here. This is a pretty serious video. Here's a question. Did Mark Zuckerberg make a deal to use the intellectual work to start Facebook? A fake deal. And barter his life, his friends, his future wife, and his children, his family, and anybody that helped him steal that intellectual work and not honor the deal. That's pretty crazy, right? Well, crazy as it may seem, there may be some truth to that. And I'm going to explain this the best I can. So, let me introduce myself. Oh, you probably like this. You might know someone I've got over my heart here, right? Okay. It's, we'll just call it symbolic. Okay. It's just, okay. So, we're going to explain this, and it's going to take some, you're going to find this interesting, and I hope this goes viral. Okay. My name is Len Shakespeare from Central City, Iowa. I am the person that Mark Zuckerberg got the intellectual work from to start Facebook. In the beginning, he said I gave it to him, but I did not give it to him. Once he learned of my intellectual work and the business I was trying to start, and I worked on that intellectual work for 10 years, he offered to help me get it online. He offered to help me do the coding. Now, there was a really bad point in my life, and you're going to hear things that you're not going to like. Okay, that was 2003, but in May of 2000, I became a witness for the monitored witness for the government for a 9/11 pre-event that showed that the government was involved in the 9/11 attacks, which would have been like a year and a half from that date. And I met two of the terrorists, one co-conspirator that was a double agent, and an FBI agent that ordered me to destroy this evidence, and I got to see government papers that actually showed a lot of government officials that was involved, okay? Now, when I didn't agree to do that, I became that monitored witness, okay? So, I had a hard time getting that site online, and more so when I became that monitored witness. So, I let Mark Zuckerberg stay at my home. Mark Zuckerberg was going to take classes at Iowa State in Iowa, and he bought himself a school bus, and he was going to live at it at Iowa State and do videos of the experience. Okay, so that's how I know Mark. He stayed at my home and gathering up parts. I lived next to a big park, you know, with a lot of campers, and I had a lot of them sitting on my property, and he was going to get parts out of it and, you know, make a Skoolie. Okay. So, a fake deal. So how do I explain this? A fake deal. So Mark offered to help me. But then Mark Howitson, the young lawyer, 28 years old, got involved. It was supposed to be his mentor, pending mentor, convinced Mark that he should use my intellectual work and pay me a percentage to use it. At first I said no, and I said the only way I'm going to agree to that if the percentage is high, and what I wanted to do still gets done. Because the intellectual work I created, I started working on after a young female friend just started college and became paralyzed after contracting spinal meningitis, and it took away all of her options. And I wanted to bring the world to her, for she had a connection to the outside world, to friends and family at all times, and it would bring her more opportunities. And money was supposed to come off from, funneled from that, you know, the profits was supposed to go towards free clinics and shelters, and help find a cure for neuromuscular diseases, for hopefully she could walk again. All this was to make the world a better place. That makes sense. I use experiences from friends and family to create it. Now you can find more about this on some other videos that I did. Okay. So I told Mark how high the return would have to be for him to use it. He didn't like it, but considering that in the plans, I estimated how much money it was going to make, and it was in the billions. You know what? He was still going to be a billionaire. Easily. So his friend and mentor convinced him, that's a good deal, go for it. He was the one. Now, Mark Howitson was the one that brokered the deal. Okay? He's the one that coached Mark to take it. So a deal was done. Mark used this new Sony CD camera to record it. I got a witness that came. He was at work. He left work to come out here as a witness while it was being recorded. Mark Howitson was on the phone, the one that got, worked to get us the deal, to work it out. And he was listening in and recording it and going to get it in writing for both of us to sign. Okay? Now, I told Mark when we did this, okay, I said, I don't want to lose this. I said, I need this. I need it to cite up to help my friend. I need it to be able to live off from. My health isn't good. I said, let's get this free. Let's just get this right out in the open. I said, if you screw me, I said, you are bartering your life, your friends, your family, everybody involved in this that tries to screw me over. I said, you're bartering every one of them. He laughed. Yeah, right, whatever. Okay? All right. Now, at the time, I was involved with that shadow government, and they were like, knocking a lot of people. I mean, they didn't just kill the 3,000 people off in 9/11. Anybody that was coming in contact with me that they thought I tipped them off before the 9/11 attack, they're killing. Okay? So so you can take that how you want to. But here's an interesting thing. Over the years, I learned about some, how I'm related to some of this shadow government and the subgroups and the Order of the Snake. Okay, so let's hear this out here. So this is interesting. So the Shakespeares and the Windsors, my line of the Shakespeares is related to the Windsors. We had a family reunion that we shared, okay, but I didn't feel like I fit in, okay. I was told when I was a kid I was a half-breed because they said I wasn't a real Shakespeare because somebody thought that my dad wasn't actually a Shakespeare, okay. So, and over the years I kept on hearing people say, you need to know your place. Now in 2021, I had somebody come visit me that was an old friend of my dad's, and he was talking about, like these secret societies kind of things. And, you're at that age, you need to understand that you're different than everybody else, and you got these abilities, because you're part of this genetic line, and, and I didn't take any of that seriously. I never did, it just wasn't me. I didn't grow up in that, But let's get this straight. Now, but my family really wasn't into that. I mean, I live with my mom because mom and dad got divorced. My dad really wasn't into that either. But there was members of the family in the Freemasons, and there's members of the family in the occult and groups. Okay, but they kept to themselves. They never really did anything bad. Okay, and so here's the thing. So, if I understand this correctly, the Order of the Snake, okay, the Order of the Snake was created by Enki, the god Enki. He was supposed to be an alien, an Anunnaki, okay, and all the descendants of the Order of the Snake are descendant from Enki, okay. Now, they've been trying to accelerate that genetic line for some reason because they got these weird beliefs, okay? Now, these are the ones that do a lot of bad things around the world, okay? Now, there's like 3 ruling families, okay? But only the descendants of Enki, of that royal line, and all the royal lines are connected, are part of that secret order. Okay, but now there's subgroups. Now the group that was involved in the 9/11 attack, the consortium group, that's a subgroup. You'll see them now in the Republican Party. They're the ones pushing all those right-wing, gotta have them babies, okay? But it's not a religious thing like you think. It's because they're trying to accelerate the genetic evolvement, okay? But at the same time, they want to kill off a majority of the people. Now, back when I got involved with the 9/11 pre-event and I learned about all these grand plans, and this grand plan is getting really close to the big one, I learned about all these ways they're planning on killing off all these people, okay? Now, they have all these strange beliefs, okay? So after the, not for 9/11, and then after the committee hearings was done, I got a call. Somebody representing that shadow part of the government. And they said to me that you deserve a favor from the top. And they already had plans what they were going to do. They were going to give Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson and anyone else that was involved in screwing me over, taking my intellectual work, they were going to knock them off. Yeah, I said that on YouTube. But their exact words was they were going to give them the exact same treatment, very quick and clean, just like they give a lot of the witnesses, just to keep everything a secret. But it's interesting that I'm here today and I'm able to tell you this. Well, they have these weird beliefs, okay? Now, I didn't want them to do that because, you know what, I was depending on that return to be able to live off from with bad health, okay? So I begged him, the guy over the phone, I said, please don't kill him, please don't. I said, I need a return for my intellectual work, don't do that. I said, I'm hoping what he's going to do is, do right. Now, they never thought he would get as far as he did with my intellectual work. Nobody ever thought he would, but he did, okay? Now, those beliefs that the Order of the Snake has, if I'm a descendant, if I really am a descendant and I'm part of that genetic line, which is looking like it's a very good possibility, when that guy called representing that shadow part of the government and they were going to, do what they were going to do to all those people, and I said no, that would mean, most likely, that I hold a marker when I said no, don't do that. But now if I die, that marker goes away. And at least Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitzon's name wind back up on the active admissions list. Yes, I'm saying this on Facebook. You got that? But now here's the thing. I have Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy, Sjogren's, and Meniere's disease. I'm unemployed. I'm flat broke. My options are running out. I'm pissed off. I'm trying to prove what happened, and everywhere I go, I find Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Howitson or somebody has paid people an enormous amount of money to shut up, sign a non-disclosure agreement, or they did something to abuse them so they would avoid doing what was right. Right? So here's the deal. I was wrong. I have no way of contacting that shadow government. I have no way of contacting the consortium group. I have no way of contacting the Order of the Snake. Okay? But I was wrong. I was wrong. I thought, the better of Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson, and I thought, you know what, they're not going to leave me broke. Right? But they did. I was in the wrong. So if I hold that marker, I was wrong. I no longer hold that marker. You do what you need to do and do what's right. From what I understand, bloodline that supports the bloodline. Now, as far as it goes for Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson, what's interesting is it looks like they're now being supported and protected by the Order of the Silver Serpent. Who's the Silver Serpent? This all sounds crazy, doesn't it? The Silver Serpent is a subgroup from the Order of the Snake, or the Brotherhood of the Snake, okay? So they're not of the bloodline. They're just the super rich, like the consortium group, okay? But depending on how much money you got, all depends on what group you're in. Okay? Mark's made a lot of money, right? And Mark Howitson, he's now has the Rothschilds as a client. But I'll say this again. If I understand this correctly, because I was told, you know, I need to learn my place, I did a lot of research, and it looks like, Bloodline comes out on top. Now, I did a video about the plan, the consortium group, and the Order of the Snake has, because, you know, I was trying to create a site that was going to help people, for people could survive. But the other ones, they're trying to, well, let's just say they want to get rid of 230 million people a year over the next 5 years. 60 million people is the normal amount of people that die every year, but they got a plan to get rid of 230 million people for the next 5 years, and then trying to maintain that level after that. Okay, so after revealing a lot of their grand plan, somebody broke into a genetics site, and the only one that they targeted was me. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to read you something. Listen to this. Here is a saying, you know, an introduction to the Order of the Snake. Okay. Now, the Silver Serpent and the consortium group follows this exact same introduction. You're going to be shocked. Okay. Through fire and ice, through famine and disaster, we serve the serpent, our one true master. We conspire by day, advance by night, no human being shall evade our might. The sun grants us eternal wisdom as the dawn of a new day awaits our kingdom. Through human plight, we always rise. We protect our home with all-knowing eyes. All we create and all you destroy commands influence we will employ. Sun grants us eternal wisdom as the dawn of a new day awaits our kingdom. One who surpasses all personal fears allows higher levels of consciousness to appear. Emotion and ego stand in the way to spiritual progression each day. The moon provides us with eternal life for the new order of the ages. To prey on the weakness of their unquestioning faith, all emotions must be replaced. To serve the serpent is to bask in domination. We welcome the Creator in all manifestations. The moon provides us with eternal life for the new order of the ages. Secure beneath our watchful eyes, the human race embraces our guise. Through force, through influence, we impose our will as we master the sacred power of Vril. The Vril provides us with eternal power for the new order of the ages. To the Vril we give ourselves, our body, our soul. To the Vril we sacrifice our flesh and our blood. To the Vril we deliver chaos so that we may be reborn. We make war, we make peace, but everything one day will cease. There is one power that destiny cannot overtake. We are the Brotherhood of the Snake. I want to tell you something very interesting. My grandparents had a big interest in UFOs and aliens. My grandfather got interested in UFOs during World War II when he got to see a big, well, about 40 or 50 foot round disc UFO hovering over a ship that he had his troops on, going from one position to another. And it just hovered there. And when he got out of the service, one of the people that he served with, and we think he was a president, would visit my grandparents. Now, they were poor, okay? So it was really kind of interesting to see this guy pull in with basically a motorcade. You know, he had another car with him, and they had flags on the fronts of the American flags on the fronts of the cars on each end. And when he was there, he would take dollar bills and origami them into figures, and he'd leave. Well, in 1972, when he was there, I was there, and he left nickel-struck $50 commemorating the landing on the moon. Well, when he was there, he was talking about aliens and all the newest things that they've learned. You know, this guy had access to Section 4, but I think it was a president. Now, my family, I don't know about all the other Shakespeares because, you know, I didn't really know them that well. But my family, my grandfather on my mom's side, and me, I don't know how many are affected by it, but we were very much part of keeping that secret. That's the most guarded secret. Now, there's an interesting thing that will shock you, and nobody is going to believe me when I say this. But in that 9/11 pre-event, when the co-conspirator that was working for the government, the double agent, when he was talking about the grand plan, and he was talking about they had plans to go to Iraq to look for this alien technology, they had bought something earlier, an antiquity. That's how they learned that they needed, you know, to find more of it, to create something or find something, you know, and then when to find other temples, you know. Supposedly, there was a lot of technology here ages ago, but people like us, we weren't supposed to have it. See, we were like the food, the slaves, the entertainment, you know, nothing good. You know, but the higher ups, you know, some of it got left here after a Great War, okay? Well, anyway, he was talking about aliens, and it got on a little bit of the conversation about my family. And the week after that 9/11 pre-event, I went on vacation with my friend up to Wisconsin, and we came back, and I got my new digital camera. And my grandparents, you know, they had knowledge of how things work. This is, you know, old news now. But, you know, if you want to know how you can see a UFO, how you can see interdimensionally. Now, when you used to go to a lot of the NASA exhibits, you'd see a lot of mirrors all in different directions. Well, that was actually there, not quite so much for art, but it was there as like a detector to be able to see things just out of phase, okay? So now, you can't see with your eyes everything, but through a camera, if it's just right, you can. Or if you got a mirror that's made in a certain way, that'll help you be able to see what's out of phase too. Okay, so when I came back, I got my first digital camera. And I'm trying to take a picture, and the image on the back of the camera was just a swirl in it. I thought, oh my God, my brand new camera is broke. You know, so I'm taking pictures, you know. I put my dog up on a chair and put a bandana and glasses on. It was going to be cute, you know. And so this is a first generation digital camera. Took it to my computer, hooked it up, getting ready to delete all the photos. And my friend yelled at me, stop! In fact, he went to yank the cord right out of the camera. Why? And every one of those photos was a group of aliens. They were, when I was trying to do the camera and it was swirling, they were standing in one part of the room, and then they were walking until they eventually got into the other room. They were standing there watching us. And one of them was using something that was messing up my camera. It was directing it out. But the main one that was tall was very interesting because, you know, I thought that stuff that guy said at that 9/11 pre-event, some of that, I didn't believe a lot of it, you know, which is absolute bullshit. But here I am at my home, and I got 7 photos in a row. And an alien that was standing there, I'm going to call him alien, that was standing there in the background, he was a reptilian. And he had a hood over him. And in some of those photos, he was crystal clear. And I'm going to tell you something. When you see that, the only expression you have is, whoa. Now, they're really awe-inspiring. I'm not going to say ugly, I would say awe-inspiring, you know. I guess in a way you could kind of say, you know, they're really striking, the look, you know, but wow. Now, see, that shadow part of the government, when they were going over to Iraq, had plans to go to Iraq to get this tech, not find what they needed, this alien tech, this guy had mentioned that they're working with this alien, or alien race, to do that. And then here I am, I take a picture, and the damn thing's standing in my damn house. So guess what? This stuff I'm telling you ain't so fake. It's real. But I'm going to tell you something, I had a hard time with it. Now, we're getting off the subject here because I was talking about Mark Zuckerberg. Now, there's an interesting thing to this. These aliens, this alien, there's multiple races here, okay? Most of them want to destroy humanity, okay? Because they used to rule, you get it? We're like the pests. We're the mice, the rodents, the pests, the vermin, okay, on the planet. They want to get rid of us. They want to come back. They want to rule it again, okay? You understand that? All right. Facebook. My intellectual work that I created that was used for Facebook is an interesting thing. That girl of my dreams that I was going to marry, I took her to the tower, the lookout tower at Penncurst Park. This was in February. It's cold out. Okay, I took her there to the tower. Well, I had her at the tower. We're sitting there in my car. We had backed in. Now, I'm driving a really nice, like, show car Camaro. Yeah, I know, but it was in February, you know. I mean, it's really pretty. Got airbrush designs on the sides of it. And this guy, not wearing a coat, not dressed for the weather, he come right up to the window, knocked on it, motioned for her to roll down. She rolls down the window. I couldn't see the guy because he was on her side. And he starts talking to us like he had known us forever. And he was telling us about all the stuff that's going to happen. You know, you guys don't realize how important you are. You know, this is what's going to happen, and this is what's going to happen. And you can't trust this person because he's the one that's going to be all your problems. And you don't know how important it is that you guys stay together. And if you don't, you know, there's going to be some other major event. Okay? I thought, okay, whatever. You know, I don't know who this guy is. Well, then she turns around, she says to me, and she says, "Do you know him? He kind of looks like you, but a whole lot older." And I said, "No." I said, "He even kind of talks like you." I said, "Yeah, he does, kind of, doesn't he?" "Yeah." Well, we turn around, guy's gone. Now, mind you, there's snow everywhere. We didn't see no footprints even leaving. We don't even know how in the world that even happened, but in a split second, he was gone. Now, we got home. My car is clean on the inside. I didn't know if anything was out of place. We got home, and there was a little piece of paper that we found after she got out. We think he dropped it inside the door. Our little piece of paper had a bunch of numbers on it. We didn't think much of it. We couldn't figure out what the numbers were because, I mean, this was in 1990. Anyway, so, you know, if you're going to go like to 2021, 2023, you know, that's a long time ahead. You wouldn't think that's what those numbers would be, right? Right? We couldn't figure it out. Well, it looks like every one of the numbers that was on that sheet of paper that was dropped inside that door coincided with an event. Did you hear that? Somehow or another, every one of those numbers looks like they coincided with a major event. So if her and I never would have split and everything would have worked out, but here's a problem. Okay, now we broke up, had like a Hollywood kind of style breakup, I'd call it. You know, the law got involved, and the members of the Shakespeare family, the consortium group, didn't want us together. I did not know at that time that her family was actually not so good. I mean, I liked them really well, but I didn't know that they were, possible murderous drug dealers. Okay? But it was fun. Okay? So, but the interesting thing is, if we would have listened to them and somehow we would have worked it out, then I never would have met Tiffany. Tiffany was the young lady, my friend, that contracted spinal meningitis, that was just getting ready to start college, So if I wouldn't have, we wouldn't have broke up, and we would have listened to that guy, I wouldn't have met Tiffany. Now, if I wouldn't have met Tiffany, then I wouldn't have worked on the plans to start Facebook. It's interesting. Now, so was there some kind of alien intervention there? I tell you the truth here, it really looks like that's true. Now, after that breakup, there was two people that, now after that breakup, that's when my dad's old friend came back that was in one of these secret societies. In fact, I put a picture of him and talking about him in one of the, you look for an alien video that I did. Okay, now, about the same time, there was two people that showed up at the house. And they kind of remind you what you look like Elvish on Lord of the Rings. And I thought they were there to proselytize, but instead, they said I needed to control my thoughts. And they were talking about the breakup between Denise and I. Now, the way it sounded, the way they were talking, there was separate timelines. And if it would have went one way, it would have been one timeline. If it would have went the other way, it would have been another timeline. And possibility one race wants one timeline and one wants another. One wants to help humanity, which is what I want to do, and one wants to destroy it. Okay? Now, they said, you need to realize that these events that happened were predestined. They had to be this way. And then they repeatedly kept, they mentioned something about a kid. Apparently, I got a kid I don't know about. Okay? Which is very interesting. And apparently this kid, at some point or another, might come into play at some point. Okay? Which should be grown up now. Should be like in her 30s. Okay? Somebody gets a girl. All right? So they kept on mentioning, you need to control your thoughts. You don't understand how much damage you can do by your thoughts. And they kept on repeating that. And you need to know your place, right? And even when they left, they said that. And I said, well, if I need to control my thoughts and I can do that much damage, then I guess you know what I can do. And they really, kind of went like that. Now, there's an interesting thing to this. We're going to talk about secret societies here. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg and the whole ordeal with him screwing me over. But you got to listen to this. So did you notice something when I read this off about the Order of the Snake? They talk about, in here, mastering the secret power of will, right? And, where is that? Anyway, they talk about using your mind, okay? Now, see, here's an interesting thing I learned over that 9/11 bit. Here's an interesting thing about that they're going to Iraq to get that ancient alien tech. Now, see, Enki, that's where he was originally from, in that area, in Iraq, okay? That was, what, Mesopotamia, okay? The Anunnaki, right? It's if you're a Christian, this is part of the Bible, right? Well, anyway, those descendants that are supposed to be so special, those descendants, there's some kind of a genetic gene handed down, an ability that only they can operate that alien tech, those UFOs. The rest of the population cannot. Did you hear that? So they don't all just have that ability. Those genetic descendants, there's something different with their brain. Now, you remember in ancient religion, they were talking about how God would speak to you in your mind, right? Well, these descendants of the Inky god, from what I understand, any thoughts that you have are carried on onto other people. In fact, you can actually direct it. You can actually direct it and kill somebody. You can direct it and have them kill themselves. You can direct it and have them do harm, or you can direct it and have them do good. But as you listen to this, when I read you the intro of the Order of the Snake, they don't do good. So those descendants are also known as dealers of fate. And there you have it. Sometimes the truth sounds like fiction, but it's the truth. I didn't intend to be the dealer of fate, handing down a fate deal to Mark Zuckerberg. But it just so happens to be that if I am one of these descendants, and by what I said, that is exactly what happened. And all this time, after Mark had screwed me over, and that lawyer, I have been holding that marker, saving them from that fate. Now, I personally would rather just have enough of a return that I can live a happy life, pay for my health care, you know, do some things I wanted to do, you know, have enough money that I can fund some free clinics and some shelters and help the world. At least in my area. But you know, Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson thought they were better off than that. And they didn't give a damn about everybody else. So I'm going to say this again. If bloodlines rule, and if this really is, I mean, I've tried to read up on this and learn everything, and I have learned a lot over the years. And I tell you, it's crazy. And there have been some people around me that have witnessed what I have learned and seen things that are just unbelievable. And I tell you what, I'm going to tell you something. There's people that want to know about aliens and UFOs and stuff, but if you get to the point that where I'm at, you don't see religion the same way again. And if you know what I know, it'll keep you awake at night. You won't sleep. Because I prefer to have a better world than this. And here we come back to this. So, if I hold that marker, my opinion is I made a mistake. I tried to see the better of people. I tried to, you know, think that Mark Zuckerberg would do what's right. Right? He didn't. Mark Howitson, same way. No good. So, in my opinion, I don't hold that marker no more in bloodline rules. And the Order of the Silver Serpent, if they are getting protection from them, you need to stop. You need to stop. Because if it's true, if bloodline rules, then you need to get out of there. You need to kick them out, don't give them no more protection, and everybody just needs to do what everybody needs to do. That's all I got to say. I was wrong. And as far as it goes for the grand plan, what you guys got planned, I don't like it. I don't like it. But I'll tell you this. You know, I'm at the point where I need to look out for myself. You know what? I want to live. I want to see some things in life. You know, and I shouldn't have to suffer because that spoiled, rotten brat ripped me off. And you wanted me to learn my place. It looks like I have learned it. Crazy as it may seem, it looks like I've learned it. And it looks like when 2027 comes around, it's going to be very interesting. I hope I'm here to see it. And you know what? As long as my life can improve and I know all the ways that you guys can do that, you know, I can just keep to myself. That sound fair? I don't know.